Hey, what's going on, guys? For this weekend's Mook review, we're taking a look back all the way to 1997 for a vintage Mook review here on how to make Evangelion. Now, vintage, I mean, it depends on your definition of vintage. 1997, though, is going a little ways back. Now, 27 years since this came out, so this How to Make Evangelion is going to cover some of the Eva models themselves, also some character models, and there's even some papercraft in here as well, so a very interesting Mook indeed. Let's go ahead and check it out here for today's video. All right, so right here on the front, we can see a couple of Evangelion models that we're gonna see inside there. An angel, just kind of weird image there in the background. On the back side, some more imagery here, including a sort of table of contents letting you know kind of what's gonna be on the inside. Also have our MSRP for this one up here for 1,300 yen. Interesting how this came out 27 years ago, and I feel like that's still, like the MSRP for a Mook like this hasn't really changed in that time. I feel like that's probably about the same MSRP is what it might go for nowadays. That said, I mean, I don't know, Evangelion stuff usually tends to go a little bit higher in terms of price, but I feel like it's probably pretty similar. Underneath the dust jacket, here's what it looks like on the front. Let's see actually on the back if it was anything interesting underneath the dust jacket there. Yeah, kind of, it's like the same artwork as like what's on the front sort of, but in a weird kind of negative monochrome there. It looks interesting. On the inside of the back part of the dust jacket, here's another Evangelion art book there it looks like, and a couple other ones there dedicated to particularly Rei and Asuka. There, those look interesting. And on the inside cover here, a little bit about the papercraft that we have in here, and we'll get back to that at the end, but it's like a papercraft weapons hanger box thing that you can make, which is very interesting. All right, on the inside of here, we've also got this poster. I'm pretty sure I've seen this image before, but I wonder if this is where that image came from. I don't know if this has ever been published anywhere else other than in this Mook, but yeah, I've seen this image online. So it's pretty cool to know that, I guess maybe this is the source of this Mook. Very interesting. So this is artwork by Yoshiyuki Tanaki. Very different from like the normal art style that we usually see for Evangelion, right? Very different kind of style there for that. That's pretty cool. On the back side, we have another image here with the Eva Unit 1. And this angel, which I believe is Sachiel, maybe? I don't remember the exact name of that one, but let's go ahead and get into it here with how to make Eva. So the beginning couple of pages here, it looks like we aren't gonna maybe have a table of contents. That's what's on the back side, so it just kind of gets right down into the action here with the LMHG. So the limited model HG line was Bandai's original model kit line of Evangelion kits. They were available in a couple of different scales, a couple of different sizes, the LMHG kits. So you have the larger ones like this, which is kind of more like the size comparable to like a master grade Gundam kit. Although the complexity is still not going to be like anywhere near that of like a master grade, and just kind of the difference in the design of the Evangelion doesn't really allow for that either, but they do have a pretty good amount of parts in there, and as you can see in a lot of different colors, so the color accuracy is pretty good considering a kit like this from that age. There is some stickers, there's some decals, there's also a 120 scale pilot figure included, which was a thing that Bandai was doing in a lot of different model kits at the time, a lot of Gundam kits as well, which was great, awesome, and I wish that they would get back to that. Here you can see some more of the available character model kits that you could get from the different releases. So there was Evangelion Unit 0, Unit 1, the couple different versions of Unit 0, Unit 2, Unit 4, I think, right, is the black ones, Unit 4. We also had like the mass production Eva as well from the End of Evangelion movie, so there's a number of different kits available. So this is just kind of like, I guess, an introduction to the line, talking about some of the different features and gimmicks like the opening mouth, the entry plug being able to be ejected out of the back there, so just kind of also showing you some of the different included accessories and things that were included with these kits. So I guess this is just kind of covering the basic tools for what you'll need for assembly. Not even nippers, but it's just showing you nail clippers, which don't think that they would put in a modern magazine. I think even for beginners, they would just recommend using actual nippers, even though just like beginner nippers would be the way to go. But there's that marker for just coloring some like the black and colored accent parts there, a couple of paint markers, knife, toothpick for pressing on the stickers, tape, it looks like. I guess that's for maybe taping the parts together while you're waiting for the glue to dry, maybe, for these parts there for the rifle. And then we've got some super glue, tweezers, and there's some nippers down there. I guess those are maybe for a little bit more intermediate kind of tools, I guess, maybe. Not for like children, maybe, possibly, but all right, now we got our assembly here of the Eva. Let's see what else we've got here for our next steps. So this is going to be basically a simple construction guide, so kind of introduction. So if you were like never built any model kits before ever, and you were wanting to build an Evangelion model kit, so this is just kind of introducing like, okay, this is what a runner is, this is what a gate is, and so like what you have included, and that's what all the Japanese text is explaining here, how to go about identifying the parts and cutting them out, and just kind of cleaning up the nubs. It's like really basic modeling steps here, first of all. There is a point here too about removing seam lines, so using Tamiya extra thin cement or thin cement, or just regular cement I should say, for removing seam lines. Not like this, it's like a caution here. Caution, and it shows the part stuck to their finger using super glue. So it's just saying like, hey, if you use super glue, don't stick the part to your finger. And also caution, look out for getting a fingerprint on there. Although I've had that happen to me many a times, getting a fingerprint in the glue, and you just sand it away. It's really not that big of a deal. So as long as you have some sandpaper, you can get rid of that very easily. But yeah, gluing the parts to remove the seam lines. There's going to be a number of seam lines on a kit like this, that old, you know, obviously there's going to be quite a few seam lines on there. So looks like there's covering about that, and then also covering over here detailing with some paint markers and pens, just to kind of pen align and color in some of the details here on the Eva. So it's all covered there. Then we have our finished result, which it also covers putting on some decals. So we got our water slide decals there, it looks like, for that. And then also a little bit here about the pose, so making sure it's not just in this kind of like derpy standing pose, which the Evangelion normally kind of is, but having it in a little bit more kind of attractive, a little bit more kind of action pose there for that. And it looks like up next then we're also going to be covering then sort of like intermediate level. Now we're moving on to some painting here for this one. It looks like we have some Evangelion branded paints, which I didn't know were a thing. I know that Gaia Notes now makes Evangelion brand paints. I didn't know that they were a thing back in the 90s though, so I don't even know what brand those are. I would assume they're Mr. Hobby brand paints, but that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. Never seen those before ever. But so yeah, this is some more kind of intermediate techniques, how to build the kit with the intent of being able to disassemble things, like cutting some of the male connection pegs on the inside of there, for example. Some more putty work over here. So on your seam lines, after gluing the seams and everything, you can use putty on there to further improve the look of that. Introduction to some of these like intermediate tools there. Sanding and puttying to remove some of the imperfections in the plastic that you're going to have, again, with a kit like this. Sharpening these blade effect parts here, like the knife blades and everything. You can file those to make them look more sharp, make them look more realistic, I guess. Also cutting and filing out some of these little detail bits in and around on the design, just to kind of enhance some of the details on it. So pretty cool little tips here for an older model, but obviously all applicable to newer models as well. Drilling out the gun barrel there on the weapons. So yeah, all very good tips. This one's kind of interesting here, and it's talking about, it looks like it's like reshaping the fingers, and if I remember correctly, the hands on these kits is like the softer rubbery material, so I guess, yeah, you would be able to just heat up the hands and then bend and reshape them just after heating up the plastic and then just bend it. I would imagine, yeah, that would work, sure. So that's kind of interesting, showing that there. That's what it looks like to me. So after our last couple little steps there, here's a look, I guess, at the finished product. It looks like there, or just kind of where it is so far after doing a few more modifications on it. Here's, again, just a look at some of the pilot figures that you could get included with the different releases. So a lot of really cool ones there, and these are all obviously fully painted there as well for those. And now we're moving on to the actual painting. So it looks like we're going to be covering hand brush painting here first of all, and then maybe a little bit of airbrushing and spray can painting as well. So it's just kind of a little bit of everything, but just kind of an introduction to some different types of brushes, different types of paints over here. So again, it's very much from the perspective of someone who's not done any modeling at all. So it's going to start with, you know, very basic introduction of what are the tools and how are they used, and then demonstration of how to use them. So there's some different points about like how to paint on here. There's something over here too about the order of how you can paint different types of paint over each other. Like for example, how you can paint lacquer over the top of other things. Hey, you can't paint enamels or acrylic over the top of others or not. Anyway, this just kind of gives you the order of how you can do that. the way to hand brush acrylic paint here in particular. It's going to be like this. You do one coat doing all that way. The second coat, you go the opposite way just to get a good even coverage over everything. And our lacquer paints up there. Thinning lacquer paints. Is this hand painting with lacquers? I would imagine it would be acrylics, but it's showing about lacquer paints and then about hand brush painting like that. So I don't know, maybe it is hand brushing the lacquer paints. But anyway, here's also a little bit about airbrush and then just getting that smooth finish. All right, so then maybe I think that's it. And I guess that's some paint up there. I guess no mention about the top coat, but obviously you're gonna want a top coat in there as well. And now we get some like custom models here. So these are gonna be some custom builds. This one is particularly really cool here. The Eva Unit 2 using the knife and axe to scale this building. So like stuck the axe into the side of the building to step on, and then it's got the knife in hand there to kind of climb its way up the building. It's really cool. So this whole kit had to be modified. I think like they just took the kit and just completely cut it up and put it back together in a way to get it into this pose, because otherwise, the kit obviously is not able to do a pose like that just straight out of the box. So it's just cutting up. I think this is the smaller scale. Yeah. So this is the smaller scale of non-articulated kits. So the larger scale, I was telling you guys, is like about like similar to 1/100 scale Gunpla. These kits are more closer to like a 1/44 scale Gundam kit. They're smaller, they don't have any articulation to them, they're just fixed pose. Very basic kits. But yeah, if you want to do something like this, just cut it all up and just reshape it all back together, fill in epoxy putty in all the joints when you put it back together. You can make it into any pose that you want, something like that. It's really cool. Here's another one where it looks like they've actually added some joints into it. So they cut it all up and then added movable joints. So rather than just fixed joints and fixing it all back together with epoxy putty, they added using some wave option joint parts there to add some joints into some of the different parts. So that's kind of interesting. Very cool. All right, now into the garage kit section. So that was all using Bandai's LM kits. And now these are going to be some garage kits. So this is a garage kit here of Ray. That, well, I guess that was a photo, and where I think we're going to come back to some more on that. But first, this is a garage vinyl model kit, soft vinyl. So yeah, very interesting how the parts come like that. It's going to be like sort of similar to a resin kit, I guess, in terms of like how you're going about your assembly of a kit like this, but there's just going to be different steps involved with it. But basically you have to clean up all the parts and just kind of put it all together. This one's also just going to be very much fixed posed. Here's the completed assembly, which looks really, really super clean. It's really nicely assembled there. And then painting it. So spraying the surfacer, spraying the paint, masking. Obviously you're going to have to do a lot of masking with this just all being just basically one big thing that you're painting all at once. You'll have to just mask a ton of stuff on here. Again, a look at the Evangelion color set there. So it looks like that was a color set maybe from Mr. Hobby, I guess, that you could get, but that's pretty cool. And here's what the painted and top coated kit is going to look like. Very cool. Very unique. Again, I'm sure, I don't know what the scale is on that. It looks like pretty large. It says it's 40 centimeters tall. So it's pretty big indeed. It'd be like kind of like the size of a perfect grade. Which is very interesting. All right, so here's that garage kit of Ray. And you can see kind of how this is broken down to as just a kind of resin garage kit. Pretty common kind of breakdown of all the parts there. There's a little bit about how to clean up the parts and get them ready to be assembled. And then you're going to use a drill and rods to pin everything, as you do on a resin kit like this. And here's a little bit about how to paint. So you're going to use like gray, typical gray surfacer, then white surfacer, then skin tone and paint for the eyes, and then painting the eyes in a few different steps here, from step to step to step. And then ultimately you'll get your finished painted eyes there. Very cool. Very important step too. Finishing off the head and some of our accessories here for the briefcase or the school bag. And finish assembly, it looks like here on the next page. This is kind of interesting. After putting the parts for the head together, then using some putty and more paint to then remove the seam on the hair. Now, normally I think people would either try to remove that before painting the hair blue, but it's kind of interesting that they painted the parts blue and then puttied them together and then headed to touch up the blue paint additionally on top of there. But a little bit about doing some additional detailing on there. And yeah, here's the finished result. It looks very nice. It looks very much 90s style GK. If you look at like a lot of older GKs, that's kind of how they look. The newer garage kits just look so much nicer. Garage kits have certainly come a long way, but these older ones do have a certain charm to them for sure. There's a little bit more just kind of about painting there. Some points for airbrushing. This is kind of what you want to get and what you don't want to have in terms of how much you want to thin your paint for airbrushing, how you want it ideally to look. So, all right. Color chart is up here next. So this is going to be a bunch of reference images. So I guess this is all just for your reference if you want to match the colors. So starting off here with the Eva Unit 1, we have again that paint set that is available, but this is showing you what each of the different colors are, what colors are recommended here, I guess. And so it's a lot of great reference images. This is all official artwork, I guess, either stuff directly from the anime or just other official artwork. And so it's cool to have this just as a reference for colors for everything. Here on some of the Eva Unit 1 equipment, on Eva Unit 0, Unit 2, Unit 13, or what? No, 13th Angel, it'd be Eva Unit 4. Like I said, I think that was right, was the black one. But again, a lot of nice stills from the anime there and official artwork here to give us our official coloring on everything, even to some of the vehicles from the series and some other angels and that robot, the Jet Alone, I think was the name, right? Jet Alone, yep. So very, very interesting design there for that one. We have some more angel artwork over here for some of the other angels, for Misato's car, for the characters in here as well, because like I said, we do have this 120 scale character model kits, so good to have color references for those as well. Here's a bunch in here, so all the reference artwork that you need. Again, remember 1997, people weren't really necessarily using the internet or social media that much for being able to just get reference images for like if you had a kit and you needed to paint it, now you would just look up a reference image online, right? But having a book like this would have been pretty important back in the day. So it's pretty cool to see. Here's the rest of our characters there. And then a custom LMHG section here. So this looks like it's going to be a few more different custom models based on some of the LMHG model kits. So a white Evangelion Unit 1 there looks really cool with this very unique sword and sniper rifle weapon combination there. A Unit 0 with the shield there also looks really cool. This awesome gun, which we saw in the poster at the very beginning there, that the Eva was using, that same weapon here, which I would have to imagine would have been scratch built. I don't know if that was available in any of the model kits that came out at the time. I don't remember. And then Eva 4 there with the kind of sticky stuff there on its back, holding the entry plug in its back. A lot of really cool stuff. Some even more wild customs here, a sort of Mazinger themed Evangelion right there. A kind of pirate themed Eva Unit 2. Very interesting with this jacket and the Sealy logo there painted on the back. This angel on there. We've got a Mecha Musume Rei and Eva Unit 01 over here. That's kind of interesting. This one, which I'm sure this is a reference to something else as well. Ultraman? Yeah, an Ultraman themed Eva Unit 2, right? Anyway, an Ultraman themed Eva design. So some really unique builds here for sure. This one's pretty cool. Another white and very detailed build here. Well, it's like an Eva Unit 1. It's also got a mix of some high mobility type Zaku parts there on the legs and a whole bunch of different weird and wild stuff, sort of like almost Armored Core kind of in the styling there for that. It's kind of interesting. And this one over here, so it says Evangelion, kind of interesting. And another sort of Mecha Musume kind of style one where the Eva has a sort of human-ish Rei looking sort of head, and then we have Rei perched up there on the shoulder as well. So a lot of really interesting stuff here. And then this one, which is kind of similar like those model kits of the Gundam and Char Zaku that have the exposed sections, those old model kits. This one's kind of like that, but with some exposed sections here of the Eva, like in the head, arm, the leg, there with all this very sort of almost gross organic kind of looking inner detail there which is quite interesting. And here on a quite cool base too. All right, then the last section is going to be that Papercraft section. So yeah, this is a Papercraft kind of weapons locker that you can build here. And so here's the instructions, and then the instructions are continued. And it shows you what the finished product is going to look like. And here are the actual pages for that. So you could actually cut out these pages and cut all this out and actually make this for, I would imagine this is meant to go with the LMHG kits, just in terms of the size of this. So there's just a few pages here of this. You could actually go and cut this out and make it. That's pretty cool. Some more color references here. This, I guess, is some of the different color sets that were available. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different color sets that they came out with, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I've never ever seen those before. So that's wild. Cool. Some more colors, and yeah, credits here at the end. Our table of contents once again. Credits for the Mook, and that's it. So very, very interesting one indeed. Very much an older one. I mean, you can tell a lot of stuff in there is very much like 90s modeling style to it, and Evangelion, early Eva. So it's really interesting to take a look back at something like that. So let me know in the comment section what you guys found most interesting about this Mook. I thought it was really cool to take a look back at something from the late 90s there, Evangelion related. It's awesome. But if you guys want to check out some more Evangelion model kits for yourself, paints, tools, and supplies, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. All sorts of cool stuff there for you guys. Check that out. And as always, thanks so much for all of your support. Liking the video, leaving me a comment, subscribing. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Till next time, have a great day, guys. See you later.